Hi, my name is Alice Wong, and I love social media. I use it in my personal life and in my work as an activist. I'd like to thank Michelle Uzeta for inviting me to talk with you all today. While I can't be there in person, I prepared a short video presentation instead. And by the way, the images in this video are described in detail in my PowerPoint slides. I'll be talking about my involvement in CripTheVote and our campaigns, usage of social media, how people are using our hashtag to advance political participation and voting rights, and some final lessons learned so far in our 10 months of existence. I'm the founder of the Disability Visibility Project, a community partnership with StoryCorps, and an online community dedicated to recording, amplifying, and sharing disability stories and culture. You can check out my website at disabilityvisibilityproject.com. I'm also a co-partner at CripTheVote, a nonpartisan online campaign to engage people in a productive discussion about disability issues during this presidential election. Here are images of my co-partners, Andrew Paulray on the left and Greg Barrington on the right. This is from a recent Google Hangout, where we give a presentation at a voting summit for disabled youth in Sacramento. The mission of CripTheVote is threefold: to encourage disabled people to become politically active, to amplify the voices of people with disabilities and the issues they care about, and to share our views on disability policies to the public. CripTheVote's activities take place primarily on Twitter. We also have a Facebook group with our events and updates. We chose this approach for the following reasons. 1, it takes a lot of resources and energy to organize in-person events. 2, we can have conversations with a wide range of people with disabilities by using the hashtag itself and schedule Twitter chats on specific issues. 3, it's relatively easy to use social media. It doesn't require any special training or preparation. And 4, for 3 people who don't do this for a living or with any professional connections to the political world, Twitter is one direct and public way to insert ourselves into the broader policy and election conversation. The strength of CripTheVote is in creating spaces for our community. We believe online campaigns should go hand in hand with grassroots community organizing. We may not be involved in specific direct actions or protests, but we have motivated people to register, to vote, or engage with civil society for the first time. This can have a fantastic ripple effect when shared on social media. We also realize that social media is not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. Using social media is a privilege, and we recognize that. There simply isn't enough intersectional disability representation in media. I'll describe some of our activities and how CripTheVote advances political participation, disability rights, and voting rights with an intersectional approach. We've hosted 10 Twitter chats so far on topics such as storytelling, mass incarceration, long-term services and supports, violence, voting rights, and voter suppression. These chats ask questions to recognize the intersectional experiences of complex disabled lives that were not from a monolithic white majority of wheelchair users, and that multiply marginalized disabled people experience disability differently. Here are a few tweets from our June 18th chat on mass incarceration, disability, and the legal system with guest host T.L. Lewis, an attorney, professor and activist Emmanuel A.M. Sam tweeted, "The criminalization of poor people happens at the hashtag intersectionality of race, class, and gender. It breaks rather than building. Hashtag CripTheVote." Lydia XZ Brown tweeted, "People assume atypical communication is non-compliance. It can't be deadly for disabled people of color. Hashtag CripTheVote." T.L. Lewis tweeted, "Women with an X, Indigenous, Black, QTPOC folks are disproportionately affected by poverty and disability. With that, the hashtag bail trap is set. Hashtag CripTheVote." These are just a few examples that highlight the rich and powerful perspectives shared during our chats. Most discussions during this presidential election about mass incarceration haven't touched on any of these important aspects. To document our work, all of our Twitter chats are storified. They can be found here at storify.com/sfdirewolf. Earlier, I mentioned storytelling as a topic of one of our chats. CripTheVote recently partnered with Rooted in Rights, a nonprofit that produces videos and social media campaigns exclusively on disability rights. If you want to see some CripTheVote stories, check out rootedinrights.org/videos/voting/CripTheVote stories. We invited people to create videos about the importance of political engagement and voting in their lives with CripTheVote stories. We received several submissions, and here are screenshots of 3 videos produced by Rooted in Rights, featuring active members of the CripTheVote community: Hamza Jaka, Michelle Kaplan, and Melissa K. Thompson. Throughout the entire campaign, my co-partners and I consistently highlight the stories of disabled people of color, since the disability rights movement is often whitewashed in the media. Every day, it's a delight to scroll through the hashtag. There are many folks who see CripTheVote as a place online for them to express their culture and pride. Laura Tuchman tweeted, "I just cast my first independent ballot using a fully accessible voting machine. I am totally blind. It felt awesome. Hashtag CripTheVote." On Instagram, Perfect Hannah posted a selfie with her fingers crossed and an I voted sticker on the lapel of her shirt. Her post said, "Obligatory sticker selfie, and here's to November. Hashtag I voted today. Hashtag locals only. My peoples. Hashtag CripTheVote. Hashtag no justice for natives. No melanin, no question. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag La Gente Unida." When we first started this January, we had no idea people would embrace CripTheVote or whether the hashtag would take off. But it did. One thing we know for sure is that our project will continue well after Election Day. Here are a few lessons learned during our first 10 months. 1. Collaborate with others. Being open and partnering with others with specific expertise and skill sets is one major lesson learned from our campaign so far. Having guest hosts for our Twitter chats, like T.L. Lewis, reshaped our thinking about mass incarceration. Collaborating with other disability rights organizations like Rodeo Rights helped our campaign extend its reach, diversity, and ability to engage on multiple platforms. Andrew, Greg, and I run CripTheVote without any funding or infrastructure, and much of our support comes from the community. 2. Don't micromanage or feed the trolls. Another lesson learned is not to micromanage how people are using the CripTheVote hashtag. It belongs to everyone. We have very little control over the conversations, and that's the way it should be. We've had a few times when people try to derail the conversation into partisanship, but we resisted hammering on them. We just repeated our purpose, and most of them got the message. Here's a meme of Yoda from Star Wars with a quote, "Do or do not, there is no try." As for feeding the trolls, let's all be a little more like Yoda and choose not to feed the trolls. 3. Invest time and labor in engagement. It takes a lot of work to build an online community. You can't convince people to use a particular hashtag. They have to see the value in it. Support for an online campaign has to happen organically in order for it to have longevity and credibility. With that said, there's a lot of care, time, and labor that creates conditions allowing a community to flourish. Andrew, Greg, and I are on Twitter and Facebook every day engaging with folks, sharing information and links, and answering questions. Our big goal is to keep the conversation as nonpartisan and focused on disability issues as possible. By being available and responsive, I hope people regard our campaign as an authentic and thoughtful one. Identity and storytelling are essential elements for movement building. Social media can facilitate both. The Autistic Self-Advocacy Network tweeted, "When people with disabilities consider themselves part of a group, they take action, such as through hashtag CripTheVote." To conclude, civil rights movements and other disability rights and disability justice movements can use social media as a tool to organize and identify communities within communities. In the case of CripTheVote, it does the following: gives people a name and space for their stories and voices, gives people a way to initiate dialogue with candidates about disability issues from the perspective of disabled people, gives people a sense of ownership and identity, that we belong to the significant body of voters that is tired of being taken for granted and ignored. As a final example, here's a photo of me that I tweeted holding a sign that says, "I vote because the Medicaid poverty trap needs to end." I hope you consider joining us, whether it's just reading the CripTheVote tweets or participating in our upcoming chats or live tweets. For more about CripTheVote, go to Andrew Polray's website, disabilitythinking.com/election-2016-CripTheVote. If you have any questions or feedback, you can email me at disabilityvisibilityproject@gmail.com or find me on Twitter at sfdirewolf, DIREWOLF. Thanks.